Hi, this is video number 3 of my guitar lesson series that I've been putting out. Last video we covered the key of C as well as a basic strumming pattern, and today's video hopefully is going to be a little bit shorter than that. We're just going to go over the key of D, just some chords that we use in this key progression, as well as some of my thoughts behind choosing these chords. So the first chord I want to teach you guys in the key of D is obviously the D chord. So this is a D chord in this progression compared to the D we learned in G, which was like this. Right. This one is going to be pretty simple. What you're going to do is take your pointer, put it on the 2nd fret of this G string, turning it to an A. Right. Take your ring finger, put it on the 3rd fret of this B string, turning it into a D. And that's it. You let everything else ring. And that's your D chord. Now in this progression, you're going to realize that just like in the other chord progressions, there was constants between each chord. And so the main theme in this D progression is going to be this ring finger right here and this open E. It kind of clashes, but it gives you a little bit of a mellow dissonance, which tends to ring out, and I enjoy that. So that's your D chord right here. Next, we're going to go over the D over F chord, which is just an inversion, as I mentioned before. That's just taking your chord and flipping it so we get a little bit of a deeper root. Rather than this D here, we get this F sharp here. So what we're going to do here is take our thumb, wrap it around here, the 2nd fret, and just let that ring out. If your thumb isn't strong enough, you can also take your middle finger, place it where your first finger, your index finger was, and take your index finger and kind of do that. You're still achieving the same exact sound. So that's your D and your D over F chord. Next, I'm going to go over the A chord. So what you're going to do is take your D chord and simply take your pointer, move it 1 string up onto your D string to make that an E. And where your index finger used to be, simply place your middle finger. And this will give you a nice A suspended chord. Alternate A that I like to play in this progression sounds pretty folky, sounds pretty country, but here it is. So what you're going to do is take your A chord, you're going to take your middle finger away. What you're going to do is just slide your ring finger down 1 fret, so it's on the same fret as your index finger, but 1 string separated in between. And you get a nice A kind of just like that. Pretty country, pretty folky. In addition to that A chord, you can also take your D, right? And what we're going to do is turn this D into a D over C sharp, which also falls in the A chord. So this is kind of a weaker, but also better transition A chord. So if you play your D chord, now you're going to take your pinky, put it on the 4th fret of the A string, turn that into a C sharp. You hear that weak chord, but it also helps lead into another chord. So instead of going just D to A like this, we can now go D to the C sharp like this. So it's really personal preference here. Next, from the A chord, we go into the B minor chord. And so this one's pretty easy. What we're going to do is take our A chord that we just learned here and simply take your index finger and move it 1 string up to the A string, giving you a B. And letting this middle string ring out here. So this gives you your B minor chord. Okay. An alternate B minor sounds like this. But I think it sounds a little bit too trebly for my taste, so I tend not to use that one. As well as the bar chord, which sounds full, but it just doesn't seem to fit in this progression. So as I keep on mentioning, and I'm sure you'll hear it over and over again, I like to keep things very simple and very streamlined throughout. So going from the D to the A, it just makes sense to turn that B minor into this one. So there's your B minor chord. And lastly is the G chord. So you could potentially use this chord that we learned at the very beginning, the first chord I taught you, the G, just like that. sounds alright, but what I like to do is just take off my pinky and keep that theme of your ring and the open E to give it that suspended and open sound. So let's try it right here. And if you want to make this a little bit more suspended and make a little more tension into that ending, say you're not ending and resolving on this chord, but rather you're using this G chord to go somewhere else in your song, you could even just add that F sharp that we learned back in right here. And that will kind of, tell your listener that you're not done yet, that you're still going to continue the song. So something like this. Something like that. So this is the D progression. It's pretty simple. To review, it's D, or this D over F, followed by your A, or your D over C sharp, right? Or even your folky A, your B minor chord, and lastly your G chord, or the pointer here. Okay? Next, I'm going to cover some chords that aren't used as often, but we'll still see them in the progression. So here we go. The first chord I want to teach you is the E minor chord, which is known as the minor second. So what we're going to do here is take our B minor chord that we just learned, and what we're going to do is move our middle finger up right next to the index finger, so it's right where it used to be. This guy just kind of follows this guy everywhere. So we're just going to go up and let everything ring out, giving us the E minor. So remember how in the C progression we played an E minor but kept our index finger right here to kind of keep in the theme of C? We're doing a very similar thing in the key of D to remind us that we're still in the key of D with this ring finger right here. And you can kind of hear the difference between that E minor in the C progression and E minor in the D progression, and even the E minor in the G progression. Right? These are all just things that help shape each progression. So that's the E minor chord, minor 2. Okay. The next chord I want to teach you is the F sharp minor chord. And so what you want to do, first of all, is take your middle finger, put it on the 2nd fret of this low E string, turning that into an F sharp. Now also on the 2nd fret of the G string, take your ring finger and turn that into an A. And on the B string, same fret, 2nd fret, turn that B into a C sharp and strum this out. So it's a pretty complicated, very dark kind of F sharp minor chord, but it still has a bit of that open D and E flavor, which also is good for keeping us in the key of D. And then from there, you can kind of shift up and then bring your pinky right there, leaving it open to resolve it back to the D. So something like this. And it's pretty easy to kind of slide from that into the G. Next, I want to cover some things we can do in the D progression to make it a little more versatile in terms of accompanying and just moving throughout the progression. So on your D chord, again, I mentioned that D over C sharp, right? And from there, it's pretty easy to walk it down into the B minor, right? You hear this to the B minor, into the A, into the G, or G suspended, into the D over F, maybe even the E minor, and maybe on the A, or even the folky A. And you can kind of see how, similar to the C progression, you can kind of walk down and be very versatile in that movement. In addition, some hammer-ons and pull-offs that I like to use, playing that D, and maybe for a little bit, adding that middle finger on to that 2nd fret of the E string. Also on the A, you can kind of resolve that A by moving your ring finger down and hitting all those A notes, so something like this. Ring finger down a half step, or just letting your middle finger take both strings. Something like that. In addition, when you take your folky A, you can kind of go add that pinky, even remove your ring. And as I mentioned before, I like to use my inversions like this D over F to go into that major 4 chord, which is the G. So in general, I do like to use my 1 inversion into that 4 to kind of walk it into that and resolve it like that. So it does help to move a song along, and I find that it does make for some smoother transitions. So pretty much anytime I go into that fourth, the major 4, I do use a little bit of that inverted 1 to get into that. Next, I want to talk about an alternate tuning, and this is not dad-gad, but I'm simply dropping my high E string. I'm down tuning that into a D, so pretend I just down tune that. And you're going to have an open D right here. And this will help kind of give you a dual tone. If you think about maybe bagpipes musically, this gives a little bit of a... allows you to play more notes here while keeping this D right here with you. So you get 2 D voicings, which should help if you like that sound, I guess. So it's really a personal preference, but I just wanted to go over some chords there too. So again, same D chord, and you notice how this D kind of sticks out. Your A chord, B minor, and your G. So if you can kind of hear that. Something I also forgot to mention is when I play my D chord, I like to put my middle finger right behind my ring and kind of suspend this D out like this. Just like that. So if you do want to experiment with down tuning, just be careful that when you down tune, as you tune back up, try not to go too fast, or you could snap a string in your face, and that would not be good. So I encourage you guys to experiment with different tunings. This is just something I discovered a while back, and maybe if you do prefer that that double D tone sound, maybe even 3, right? That triple D sound, then feel free to experiment with that. But I really encourage you guys to really develop your own sense of, you know, what you like to do. And I think half of it is just creating your new and your own chords, honestly. So once you develop your own personal style and your own personal chords, I think guitar becomes a lot more meaningful and a lot more enjoyable to play. So this concludes our Key of D tutorial video. I hope you found the information was valuable, easy to learn and easy to practice as well. And I hope that as you guys develop into your own guitar players, that as you develop your own habits, your own fingerings and tunings, you guys can even teach me some of the chords you guys are coming up with. So I know with your God-given talents, a little bit of hard work and some practice, you guys are going to pass me in no time. So thanks for tuning in, and I'll see you in the next video. Bye.